So I recently saw the Odyssey in 70mm IMAX, and it was a really beautiful experience. It was a really beautiful experience actually, and I didn't actually expect to go because there was it was like completely sold out all the time, and it's kind of crazy how 70mm IMAX has become like a trend, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is becoming like the next big thing where people have to rush to get their tickets early and book in advance and as soon as possible, and it's this really big event, cultural moment, and I think it's a good thing in a way. It's kind of also weird because I was always aware of this whole 70mm thing because as a Chris Nolan fan myself, I already knew that this was what they used to film like The Dark Knight, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet, Oppenheimer, of course. And so suddenly to see the way that everybody's responding to 7mm IMAX is kind of interesting, and a lot of people wanting to know what this is and not even knowing what it is. And actually, one of the good parts of this is that I think it also shows that we also, I almost feel like as a human race, we also crave, you know, analog things. And I think these days a lot of people are going back to wanting to, like, I don't know, listen to music on vinyl, using digital cameras, or without having to rely everything on a phone and everything, wearing watches. But yeah, about the whole experience of watching the Odyssey in 70mm IMAX, and at the time when Oppenheimer was playing, like what, 3 years ago, my theater wasn't showing it in 70mm, but I would have went if they did have it. But I don't think we had a 7mm IMAX screening since like Interstellar, and even that one I didn't go see it in that format. So yeah, I was 15 years old at the time, and I was, but I was still aware of what that was, what IMAX 7mm was. But yeah, I had like these expectations going in, and I was like thinking, oh man, this is gonna be super sharp. Like, I know IMAX is meant to be equivalent to, like, I don't know, 18K to 20K pixels, and things like that. And I was just expecting the thing to look like pitch perfect. And once the movie started, it definitely does look really good. And I wouldn't say perfect, and I think that's what makes it look better than any type of digital projection or digital screening, because it obviously is like really sharp, and you can tell, like, I remember just seeing like Matt Damon's beard in the movie, and it's just like it's like super sharp. I'm like, how is this even possible? But it also doesn't look like pitch perfect either. But I think that's what makes it look better than a perfect 4K remaster of one of your favorite films or something. And I think that's what I've been saying about how I think as a human race we're still craving and reaching for something real, something that feels more tangible, and something that feels like really manual and feels like hands-on, and you can tell like by the little specks of dust, the imperfections, and that's what makes it so much better than the perfect 4K remaster. And just seeing the little dots and the lines, and I was like, oh, is this a problem with the screen? Oh no, that's actually like part of the movie, and there's like this piece of like dot in there. And it kind of brought me back to the days when film projection was like the standard. And a lot of people don't actually realize this, because people are like, oh, what is 70mm film? But if you were somebody who grew up in the 90s or the 2000s, you would probably know that every movie that was projected in movie theaters was always 35mm film. That was the standard. And I remember vividly going to see movies like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, Inception, some of the Harry Potter movies, and always noticing like the little black dots everywhere. Sometimes there was like this oval shape, black oval shape that would appear like for half a second. I was like, oh, what the hell is that? And I've always noticed this, and I knew that I was watching something on film. But to see it out again in better quality and in 70mm IMAX even, it's absolutely insane. It's obviously going to look far different, far better than 35mm. But still, like, I kind of makes me wish that 35 millimeter film was still the standard for, because literally I feel like I can pinpoint exactly the last movie that I ever saw in 35 millimeter film, and it was around like 2011 or 2012, and I'm not entirely sure, but it's either Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 or The Dark Knight Rises. But I know that by fall 2012, I know that when Skyfall came out, I'm sure it was digital. So I think the transition really did happen around 2011, early 2012. But yeah, about my thoughts on the Odyssey, the film itself. I had already seen it like prior already, and it's absolutely a great film. And I remember giving it like a 10 out of 10 walking out of the theater. And this was, and then the 70 millimeter screening was my second time watching it, and it's. I mean, on second viewing, I definitely feel like, as much as it's such a great film, I do find that there is a sense of repetition, and I don't know the book. I don't know. I'm sure this is what happens like in the original stories by Homer, and so. But it's just like it's just the structure of it, like where I've kind of noticed the structure a lot more on second viewing, where you kind of just see that they're just always going into an island and looking for food, and then something bad happens and they have to leave, and this happens like 4 or 5 times, and I understand why all those things are there, and I know that the ending, the climax of the film would not work if it weren't for those moments, but it did feel like it dragged a little bit in a way where you kind of felt like the repetition of the whole thing of, oh, we're looking for food, let's get on an island, something bad happens, let's leave, and it just happens again and again, and but again, I do admit that without those moments, it wouldn't make the last 40 minutes some of the best in cinema history. I think that, I remember even the last 40 minutes, I was just on the edge of my seat. Once you hit that siren scene, I remember I was just like, God damn, this is just one of the best films of all time, seriously. And it's just like so intense, like especially with the trial of the bow. Like I had no idea what the Odyssey was or what the story was, or anything about the bow and everything, and I was just seeing all this for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, this is what I love about movies. The little callbacks they did from the beginning of the movie where they show him stringing the bow, and you had no idea if that would ever come back later, and then it did, and then you're just like, oh shit, man, this is. And that's what makes the film really work for me. Is that it's just like, I love callbacks. I love when movies just introduce something at the beginning of the movie and you have no idea if this is gonna pay off in any way, and then right at the end of the movie they bring it back, and I'm like, oh yes, this is awesome. I know Chris Nolan did this in Batman Begins a lot. He also did this in The Dark Knight Rises. It's one of my favorite like forms of storytelling. It's just so satisfying when something gets brought back later on as a callback, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just great. But yeah, about 70mm film, or just film projections in general, I really do wish that was the standard, and that was still a normal thing, and not something that we just like, see, because now it's just seen as such a rare thing, and then you have to pay an extra amount of money to just view something on film. And at the time, like, you could just walk into a theater like 10, 20 years ago, you could walk in a theater and then like it was like $7 to $9 a ticket, and the movie would be projected on 35mm film, and that was just a normal thing. And now I understand the price would be higher because of IMAX 70mm, but if it's just 35mm, like if it's being viewed as 35mm today or any screening in that format, they would charge you extra. They would definitely do that. So because it's such a rare thing now. And I don't know. I'm not saying that the digital projection is bad, because there are some plus sides. It's just like you plug in and play, and that's what it is. And it's the file that you receive. And but there is this, I think, the way people are responding to IMAX 70mm, as I think it just shows that we are all craving for something like that, and something like that to be more normalized. You know, if it were the standard thing, I think that would be just really beautiful, actually. And I don't know if that will ever happen. It's not like everybody in the entire world is collecting physical media these days anyway. You know, people are still collecting physical media. A lot of people are getting into it, and that's great. But to have everyone in the entire world get into physical media and ditch streaming entirely, yeah, nah, I don't think I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys. This is a 70mm IMAX film print from Interstellar, and this was included in the Blu-ray that was released at the time, and you can see that right there. Yeah, and here's the. Actually, I'll show you it like this. Actually, I'll take it out of the little thing here, but it's the frame with. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's the frame with Michael Caine on the hospital bed. But yeah, that's pretty cool actually. But yeah, what did you guys think of this video? Let me know in the comments, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.